Hello, this is Catherine Watkin of Selling from the Heart. I'm doing some interviews with members of the Business from the Heart membership, affectionately known as Hearties. Today I'm speaking to Oona Alexander, wise parenting coach. Oona, would you like to introduce yourself and explain what it is that you do, what your business is all about?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Yes, I work with parents who are finding that the relationship with their child or their children is stressful or worrying in some way. And I help them create a close, loving relationship with their children and ultimately a calm, happy family, which is what everyone wants, really. That's what I do.
And you've done it for a while, haven't you? You've actually got, at this stage, a pretty established business. How long have you been in business?
I've been in business for 9 years.
Okay. Although we're here talking about the membership today, we go back quite a long way in terms of business. You joined my course originally, and we've worked together one-to-one. You've been part of a small group mentoring program. Over the years, we've done quite a lot of work together. I'd love you to say a little bit about where you were at in your business when we first started working together about 7 years ago.
So I'd been in business for 2 years, and I think I was floundering around at that point. I'd had various business mentors who were well-meaning, but I just didn't have the foundations in place. I remember going to a local business mentor who gave me a list of about 40 things I should do and just coming away and feeling totally confused, knowing there were reasons why things weren't working. I already had 2 websites at that point that weren't working for me. And so I was feeling pretty lost. I was feeling pretty dispirited because I was working long hours, up to 10, 11 at night and stuff.
Of course, those 40 things might well be beneficial to fix, but actually as one human being running a business alone, it's often completely unrealistic to think that you could fix 40 things all in one go. And I remember when I first started working with you, you were following a system that involved a complex funnel into a masterclass and Facebook ads. And I remember that just the sense of how heavy and complicated that felt for you. And from my perspective as well, the fact that actually it was a quite advanced strategy for somebody that didn't have all of the foundations in place that were going to make it work. So thank you for sharing that. And where are you today? Where is your business at today?
Well, I've got all the foundations in place. I've got the clients that I need. I feel confident about who I am and what I do. And I'm getting quite a lot of visits to my website, as in hundreds every month, which I have to give credit to you for, Catherine, because not only did I get guidance for you in, how to structure that website, but also you encouraged me to write blogs, and you gave me also, good tip on how to do that. And these blogs are now getting hundreds of visitors a month. You also suggested about SEO, and I did. And this is the result. It's been a long-term game with the visits to the website, but it's very satisfying to feel that those foundations were put in place and that they're working for me now. People are finding me via Google. So that's one of, one of the benefits.
Another thing that I've seen happen for you is becoming really established in your expertise. You are well known and generally perceived to be a leading expert in what you do, certainly here in the UK. One of the things you've done, in addition to the online stuff, is a lot more speaking and delivering of masterclasses to other people's audiences, building relationships, doing collaborations, a lot more of the human stuff rather than the online funnels. I think that's contributed to building that expert status. Would you agree?
Yes, and I think that's something that you also encouraged me to do, to build those relationships, get speaking opportunities, and that has definitely helped a lot. I really enjoy speaking, and that has definitely worked. And I think that's also an inner process that you've helped me with. You've reflected back to me that I am that expert, which I kind of knew deep down. But you often have said to me, you come across as that credible, grounded expert, which I don't think I knew about myself, because at one level I knew was the expert. The other level I had, those layers of imposter syndrome, or who am I, or kind of how do I express that? And you kind of told me, well, you already have it. You don't. I think that's so you don't have to try to be something. You just already are that. That's one of the things I really value about your mentoring, is that you do see the person in front of you. You're not rolling out old advice. It's very much tailored to the person and what's pertinent to the person, what their needs are in that moment, what they need to hear. And what they need to hear might not be the next technique. It might be something to do with how they're feeling, or some kind of mental trap they've got stuck in, or the fact that they've just been through something in their life.
Just need to take 3 days off.
Exactly. So sometimes when you run group calls in the membership, it's good to come on and just say, I don't really know what my question is, but can you help? I've seen you do that for others, and I've experienced you doing that for me too, that you really do manage to move people on from being stuck, confused, or just not knowing what to do, or what they even don't know or need to know, or whatever. And so it does go beyond just business strategy, what you teach. You're very knowledgeable about that, and you're the ultimate guide. For me, I always want to come back to you and get your take on things, because I think you really understand me and my business. And I don't think that's just personal to me. I see you doing it for others as well. You've got a fantastic memory. People outside the membership wouldn't credit how much you give to the individual members within the context of a reasonably sized membership. Do you really remember what they said on the last call, who they are and what their business is about? And what you say to them is really pertinent to them. It's not just generalized stuff. I don't think people who hadn't experienced that would know that they could get that, because I've worked with you one-to-one, which is wonderful and great. But I also know that within the membership, I can get that kind of one-to-one help that I really need. And it's like a gift for me that I can do that for a relatively low price.
Yeah, you don't have to pay thousands to work with me one-to-one. You can pay your £47 a month and get those shifts and bits of advice. That brings me on to a question I did want to ask you, which is, you actually joined the membership as a founding member. So it's not going to be many months before you've been in this membership for 7 years. 7 years. When I started this membership, I didn't expect people to stay for more than a couple of years, because that's normal for memberships. There's actually quite a large proportion of members who've been with us this long. My question for you, because I'm sure it's the question that a lot of people would want to ask, is why? Why would you stay in the same membership for 7 years? What is it that keeps you keeps you paying?
Well, it's like my business family. I really could not imagine being without it. Apart from your personal mentoring, which is huge, being able to go somewhere and ask a question, like I think beginning of this week or last week, I talked about, what are people thinking about social media, and which are the different platforms, or which ages, and what are people doing, or, which kind of, all the questions you want to know, or which plugin, or I mean, there's such a wealth of knowledge there. And then you also always come in with your valuable comments and observations and tips. And I really like a lot of the people in there. And I just feel it's founded on such integrity and authenticity, that group. It just feels like a safe place to be.
And what's really nice is the range of businesses that we've got. We've got a lot of members who are brand new, like where you were when you first joined back at that time. And then we've got businesses like yourself, very established. You've got your full book of clients, you know what works, you know what you need to do. You've been in business for many years, and we've got that whole range. So when those new earlier people have a question, we've got all of that wisdom and experience from those of you who are like the wise elders of the membership, right?
Yeah.
I love that about it as well, like the range of different stages of business we
Various
have.
stages and different expertise, like people who've worked with businesses, which I haven't really done before, but I may now be doing in the near future, to be able to talk to them and unpack pricing strategies and how they've thought about it. Even for the more established people, there's so much to learn because there's a lot of expertise in the group, as as well as great resources.
What would you say to somebody? I sometimes think that people might look at it and think, £47 a month, how can I possibly get the support I need for that price point? I feel that people often underestimate what they can get for that price point. So they either don't join, or they join, don't engage, and then leave. What would you say to somebody? Because you've invested with me at every level, really, from the membership to a more high ticket group program. What would you say about assumptions people might have about what they get for that investment?
Yeah, I understand the skepticism because you often don't get very much for that kind of money. But this group, you really do. I mean, you really do. And I mean, it's fantastic because you don't have to wait for the mentoring calls. You can put a help question in the Facebook group and people will come and answer you. But also, there are some fantastic trainings, Instagram trainings and things that you can just go and call on, or remind yourself, selling from speak. I think that's in it.
Mhm.
That is, isn't it? Yeah. And it's gold, really. It's really valuable. It is really valuable. And then the connections that I'd say, don't underestimate it. You really do. And if you really work your way through the trainings, you will get value. And then you can consult with Catherine to get the finer details that are appropriate for you. If you engage with it, you will get value. You will feel changes that are significant, not just slight.
Oh, thank you. And then before we wrap up, I've got a final question for you. If you were to take the wisdom and knowledge that you've developed over this past 7 years, growing your business to this level, what would you want to pass on to somebody else?
I think the thing is, do what works for you, because I realize I'm maybe not a typical go-getting business person. However, I am quite driven. As long as I'm doing the things I want to do, I'm good and I get results. There are lots of things I don't do very well, like planning and things, but it's okay because I focus on my strengths and the things that I do well, I am very good at. And as long as I keep doing those things and doing the things that I love.
What you're trying to say is, don't try and build your business out of things that you just don't really want to do. You know that when I first met you, you were pushing really hard to grow your business, doing things that you didn't want to do at all.
Exactly.
It's like how, that journey of finding those things that you do want to do. So therefore you do more of them, you have results.
Exactly.
Great. So Oona, with the wonderful work that you do around parenting and helping people create better relationships with their children, if anyone is interested in finding out more about you and your work, how can they do that?
Well, it's funny, Catherine, because when I first started working with you, I created this guide called Solve the Struggle with Your Kids. I've just kind of revisited it and tweaked it and made quite sure it's all up to date, and looked at it again and realized that it's still great. It's like Goldilocks porridge. It's not too long and it's not too short, and it's got the principles and the strategies and then the examples and pitfalls you don't want to fall into and everything. But it really is good. And anyway, so that's where I recommend people start, because it's free, it's downloadable from my website, and yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm still very pleased with it.
Brilliant. People can go and get hold of Solve the Struggle with Your Kids. Find that on your website, which is oonaalexander.co.uk.
.co.uk, and it's top of the homepage.
Thank you, Oona. Thank you for doing this spotlight. It's been an absolute joy to have you part of my world for so long, and I'm delighted that you still get so much out of the membership even after all these years. That means I must be doing a good job.
So I hope you run it forever, Catherine.